New York to Paris.
With all 4 rockets firing, Yeager does it. The first human to crack the sound barrier.
Apollo 13, man's 5th lunar mission.
Odyssey, Houston, we show you on the mains. It really looks great.
Aviation enthusiasts, rejoice. If you love all things flying, you are in for a treat. And if not, you're about to find out why this museum is about so much more than the past. It's a boarding pass to the future. It's one of the most iconic aviation stories in history. The ditching, the landing of a passenger jet, an airliner in New York's Hudson River. 155 people on board, all passengers, all crew survived, in what is perhaps one of the most feel-good stories of all time. At approximately 3:29 p.m. Eastern on January 15, 2009, U.S. Airways Flight 1549 departed from LaGuardia in New York City, bound for Charlotte. On climb-out, the Airbus A320 hit a flock of geese, knocking out both engines. Each second, the crew lost momentum and options. Air traffic controllers suggested landing at one of 3 close airports, but losing the altitude and airspeed to safely reach those runways. The flight crew had to make a split-second life-or-death decision.
Cactus 1529, turn right 280, you can land runway 1 at Teterboro.
We can't do it.
Okay, which runway would you like at Teterboro?
We're going to be in the Hudson.
I'm sorry, say again, Cactus?
In the few minutes from takeoff to touchdown, the plane and all aboard became an incredible story. Captain Chelsea B. Sullenberger III and First Officer Jeffrey B. Skiles became heroes for what is known as the most successful ditching in aviation history. Millions watched the live news coverage of rescue efforts. There are images of passengers standing and shivering on the wings, with a few of their number jumping into the freezing river.
I started to get, close to my neck underwater, and, I just thought I was going to drown.
The airframe remained intact, thanks to the high experience level of the crew and the captain's training. As a former glider pilot, everyone survived, with only 5 serious injuries.
The people we've treated so far only had mild, at worst, hypothermia. So, it just speaks to how the coordinated effort of the flight crew to set the plane down softly.
We've had a miracle on 34th Street. I believe now we've had a miracle in the Hudson.
Battle-scarred from the ditching, the plane drifted and started to sink. After the evacuation, it was moved, anchored to a dock where waves beat it up. It was eventually lifted out of the river with cranes, causing even more damage. The ailing Airbus was destined to be broken up for parts and scrapped when Charlotte officials had a different fate in mind: a museum piece, an artifact. Workers took the plane apart, driving it from New York to North Carolina on a flatbed truck. People stopped along the roadways to snap pictures and wave the plane on its journey. It was a symbol of survival and that miracles really do exist. After some time in storage, the Airbus was reassembled in her new home at the Carolinas Aviation Museum. Now, years later, Flight 1549 has landed in her final resting place here at the reimagined Sullenberger Aviation Museum, adjacent to Charlotte Douglas International Airport. So we know what happened to the jet, but what about the passengers? Many of them were from Charlotte. 21 of them were from Bank of America. They took this trip, a day trip, up to New York and back on a regular basis. 2 of them, Pam and Brian Siegel, same last name, spelled differently, no relation other than the fact they both worked for Bank of America and both were on Flight 1549.
There was definitely fear. I was never an easy flyer. I never truly enjoyed the process of flying. I was very frightened. I was frightened that we were going to crash. I was frightened that I wouldn't see my family again.
I was in row 8, which is the window exit is row 10. So I was 2 windows in front. I came out that first window and out onto the wing here and made my way all the way out. and then went off the front side of the wing onto the water.
I think I'm the smaller of the two heads, but that's me.
Pam Siegel and Brian Siegel recalled January 15th, 2009, the day that changed everything. Prior to January 15th, Pam, a mother of 2 teenagers at the time, says she had taken many things in life for granted. Brian, a new father of a 6-week-old baby, was juggling work and parenthood. He still grapples with the notion that he was the last standby passenger to grab a seat.
When things started to happen, the immediate thought that went through my mind was, well, I'm not even supposed to be here.
It was just another routine flight until the bird strike. A bang, engine fires, the smell.
Then I realized that I didn't hear either engine. And that was really the first time for me, that sort of sickening feeling that it's just too quiet.
We started to lose momentum. And I always say that for me, one of the scariest things was that loss of forward momentum. It's like that top you hit on the roller coaster. You just get to that point and then you're no longer going up, you're now going down.
Lacking altitude and airspeed to return back to the airport, the only option became the Hudson River.
And I could see the buildings getting larger and us getting closer to the river, and I realized that we were going into the Hudson. I've also said though that was better. Like that was better than crashing into Manhattan.
And it wasn't until the captain said, "This is the captain, brace for impact," that it starts going through your mind like, what does that mean? I mean, we're here in the air. What are we going to hit?
The plane landed level, hitting the water at 140 miles per hour. But it instantly and violently lost its momentum. There was a long second of silence, then the order to evacuate.
It was January. The water was cold, the air was cold. So I get out onto the wing, dress shoes, suit pants, and a button-down shirt. So immediately the wind, I remember just feeling the wind and the air moving. You smelled the jet fuel that was floating in the water. So there was this moment of just trying to stabilize yourself because this is an unnatural place that you're not supposed to be.
Pam got out on the emergency exit on the left wing. The splashing water froze on the wing, making it slippery with each step. Fearing a fall, she chose to jump into the water. She soon swam to a life raft. Ferry boats arrived to rescue passengers from the wing, the rafts, and the water.
I actually reached into my pocket and grabbed my phone out, and I called my wife, who was home, and I said, listen, I'm going to be late. You're not going to believe this, but my plane just landed in the Hudson River. Before something like this happens, you have this image in your mind of what life is supposed to be. And it's almost like a jigsaw puzzle, and when something happens like this, the puzzle gets thrown up in the air, and all the pieces get scrambled. And eventually you do put the puzzle back together again. But when you do, the picture's a little bit different. But look, I wake up and even if I'm having a bad day, if things are stressed, I can always go back to looking at it and saying, there's a chance I might not have been here.
Talk about your life flashing before your eyes, and what I've said is it's not the past, it's the future. It's the future without you. It's that hole that you'll leave. Did my kids go on and do okay? It's that absence of you in the future. So yeah, I was frightened.
Pam told me one of the greatest takeaways for her from that accident was to listen to her intuition, listen to her gut. She told me that 1 week before the ditching, she had a dream, a premonition, where she saw an aircraft in the river. Gives you goosebumps. All right, coming up next, we're going to take a deep dive into the exhibits and the people, the stories here behind the aircraft at the new Sullenberger Aviation Museum.
If a woman's face does not come to your mind when you think of pilot, that already lets you know that you have preconceived notions for who's going to be the best at it. So I would say, erase those preconceived notions. Write your own future.
When you board an airliner for a flight, how often do you see a woman pilot in the cockpit? Once in a while, right? But not very often. In the United States, 47% of the work population are women. But in the cockpit on the flight deck, only about 5% of professional pilots are female. And in the military, there's a minority of females as well. Well, Sullenberger Aviation is out to change that by encouraging more girls to take flight with a trailblazing exhibit that demonstrates how a woman's place is in the cockpit.
Oh my goodness.
Captain Jones is about to come face to face with...
And then look at my face up there, like what are we doing?
It's her first look at the exhibit Sullenberger Aviation officials created to honor her remarkable career as a military aviator.
Oh, this is such an honor. I'm Captain Lindsay Jones, and I'm the first African-American female helicopter pilot for the North Carolina National Guard.
Jones is part of the Trailblazing Women exhibit here at the Sullenberger Aviation Museum.
I am a part of Women Making Waves.
A Raleigh native and citizen soldier, Captain Jones considers it a privilege to serve her country as an officer and helicopter pilot.
Every time I interact with someone, I never know how far it's going to send them.
She also serves her community as a licensed clinical mental health counselor.
I'm just taken aback.
Captain Jones is literally larger than life in her exhibit display, where her uniform, boots, and gloves are showcased. It's a reflection of her history of breaking barriers as an African-American woman in a traditionally male-dominated field.
As a child, I never dreamed that my face was going to be on a Smithsonian-related museum. Like, no, not even any museum. I never could picture that even happening.
As a role model, a 17-year National Guard veteran, and still the State Guard's only female African-American helicopter pilot, Captain Jones has a special message for girls.
Me, little Lindsay, when I first joined, I was a private first class, Lindsay Jeffries. I didn't know that I was going to be a pilot. So what I want them to know is you do not have to know everything you'll do in your future. You just have to know to take the first step. That's it.
Captain Jones says when girls see her exhibit, they should know she is a representation of them, an extension of their potential. When they think about what a pilot looks like, she wants them to remember
there was a black lady up there, and she could fly, and she doesn't look like the normal depiction in my mind of what a pilot looks like. So maybe that can be me as well.
Now, in addition to Captain Jones, there are other exhibits featuring trailblazing women from the golden age of aviation to today. Now we're going to switch over to a themed area here that highlights and features 50 people from all over the Carolinas in the aviation industry. One of them is a colorful character. He is a retired Air Force major, a World War II hero that goes by the name of Pinky.
I'm 99 years old. I'll be 100 in March.
Rock Hill's Tom Funderburk believes history is important.
Once we're gone, the memory will be pretty much gone as to what we did.
That's why the Major, nicknamed Pinky for his bright red hair back in the day, donated some of his belongings to the Sullenberger Aviation Museum's collection of artifacts.
The things that I donated were the continuation of me and the Air Force.
The Pinky Funderburk collection includes the Major's Eisenhower jacket,
which had my medals on it.
The mementos include training materials from flight school, photographs from his military career, medals, and more. His oral history can be heard as well, detailing his enduring love of aviation.
Flying is everything. As soon as your wheels leave this earth, there's a feeling that most people never have.
He received France's highest Order of Merit, the Legion of Honor, for flying deep into enemy territory over Austria, rescuing 31 French prisoners of war.
And they were so excited, of course, about getting home.
The Major says he is delighted to be part of the museum, hoping his story will inspire the next generation of aviators.
Go fly. Just go fly.
From trailblazing women to World War II heroes to charismatic cabin crew. Did you know that before flight attendants were called flight attendants, they were stewardesses, and before that they were air hostesses? Coffee, tea, or me? That's what vintage ads would say when air travel was considered glamorous. Back then, air hostesses were required to be young, slim, and beautiful. The late Sally Mabe was one of those hostesses for Trans World Airways. She was a glamorous fashionista in designer workwear. Her uniforms from the late 50s and early 60s are now artifacts donated by daughter Julie Vedato.
You'll note that all of the women are the same size, they're wearing the same makeup, they're wearing the same hairstyle. It was very much a look.
Each airline had a preferred appearance for its cabin crew. These TWA uniforms were created by famed fashion designer Oleg Cassini. Julie says her mother would be thrilled with the donation, allowing museum visitors to see how times have changed.
We've come so far, and the fact that not every flight attendant has to look like the next flight attendant, and the fact that we have women not just in the cabin crew, but also on the ground and in the cockpit and all of those wonderful spaces.
Well, Julie told me that back in the day, of course, the priority for an air hostess was safety of the passengers, but also another priority was to ensure that all the passengers had a terrific experience. Well, coming up next, we are going to have fun with kids and all the hands-on activities and check out all the many incredible stories of the aircraft here at Sullenberger Aviation Museum. The iconic Miracle on the Hudson exhibit is the star of the show here, the main attraction. But there's so much more. Look up and down and all around, there are airplanes everywhere, and they each have their own story. Now, one of them in particular enjoyed its 15 minutes of fame on the big screen in Hollywood. I think I hear the theme song now.
People walk in the door and go, oh, wow. Every aircraft does have a specific story and a history, so we start there.
Like this F-14 Tomcat that landed a cameo appearance on the big screen in Top Gun.
The artifact itself, it's the capturing point, it's the wow factor.
If you feel the need for speed, this supersonic fighter jet and other aircraft on static display at the reimagined Sullenberger Aviation Museum can fill the bill.
We have over 40 aircraft in our collection.
Katie Swaringen is the Vice President of Collections at the Sullenberger.
We have aircraft that span over 100 years of aviation history.
At the time of acquisition, many of these aircraft were in pretty rough shape, in need of serious TLC and extensive makeovers before they were ready for their close-ups in the new museum.
Aircraft to artifact, and what have we done to preserve, conserve, and make sure that this history is something that we can continue sharing for years to come.
Each aircraft artifact features a tablet with immersive augmented reality. That's technology where visitors can piece together each aircraft's journey.
They matter because of the people that worked on them, flew them, and have relationships with them. And that's what we really want to share with our community, inspiring them to find their own journeys.
From admiring aircraft to flying them, well, that's an entirely different story. You know, for many of us pilots when we're young, we got that hankering to learn to fly and slip the surly bonds of earth. And the educators here at Sullenberger Aviation Museum, they understand that, and they know it's important for kids to have fun. So here they can fly everything from paper airplanes to vintage trainers to simulators.
This is the place where everyone comes to have fun. Play is a very important part of learning, and it's sometimes overlooked. But this is a space where kids can play and take on the role of an aviation professional and see where their skills lie. It's accessible and ready for visitors of all ages to come and explore.
Welcome to the Honeywell Makerspace at the Sullenberger Aviation Museum.
We are really making STEM fun.
It's a family affair for the Phillips clan of Charlotte. 6-year-old Annie Drew and 12-year-old brother Easton have their sights set high on all things flying.
We have state-of-the-art interactive experiences for our visitors, including the paper airplane launcher, and there's nothing like this anywhere in the Southeast United States. We also have a fun scarf wall for our littles to learn about the forces of motion.
After exercising paper airplane skills, it's time to take a seat at the flight controls in the cockpit of this iconic Cessna trainer and sophisticated state-of-the-art simulators.
We didn't know what to expect. It blew us away when we walked in the door.
I can see our family coming back here again and again for learning and to have so much fun.
Our museum is full of heroes and stories of heroes, and we're looking for our next generation of innovators and heroes just like Captain Sullenberger.
All right, I know you're ready for some fun, so everything you need to know to visit the new reimagined Sullenberger Aviation Museum when we come back. So there you have it, a recap of some of the many exhibits and exciting hands-on activities here at the new reimagined Sullenberger Aviation Museum. You know you're going to come again and again and again because there's so much to see. Now, as far as getting tickets, hours, events, information, it's all on the website sullenbergeraviation.org. We're from the campus here at Charlotte Douglas International Airport from the new Sullenberger Aviation Museum. I'm May K. Beeler with Queen City News. Thanks so much for watching, and to all of you, blue skies and tailwinds.